All righty. Hey, hello, successful wives, and welcome. I'm your host, DC Constant, and welcome to another episode of Finance Friday, where we bring you everything from saving, getting out of debt, growing, saving your money, and building wealth. And every Friday, we have an expert on to help us do that. And today's financial expert is Winfred Burns II. And I'm so happy to have him here. He's also an author as well as a money and relationship coach. So welcome, Winfred. Yay, welcome. Um, just give us a little bit about your background, Winfred.
Absolutely. So I am born and raised in the Chicagoland area. I went to Langston University where I got my degree in finance, and since then have worked in some sort of financial services arena, whether it be in banking for credit unions or helping family and businesses eliminate debt and create wealth. I'm also, like you said, an author of two books. One called How to Move Up Your Corporate Career, the other Surviving Relationship Storms. And then recently just published my first workbook called Mastering Your Money Workbook. So also a father, of course, of one, and I'm a pastor. So I am a pastor, associate pastor here at a church in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I lead our social entrepreneurship endeavor, where we we partner with bees to create products from honey and beeswax. So as our church is growing in that. So yeah, so those are just a few things. Of course, I have a weekly podcast called The Scoop, and
Yes.
I do quite a bit of things. So that's the short version of, of who I am.
No, thank you for that. That is excellent because it leads me to my segue because Winfred has a wealth of information and with regards to money and of course relationships. So let's just jump right into it. Let's dive in. So one of the first questions that I wanted to ask is when we're talking about couples and we're talking about money, sometimes that can be a very difficult conversation to have.
Absolutely.
Um, so let's start there.
Mhm.
How do we come to the table without our guns blazing and have that mature conversation about money?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we have to do is come to the table understanding that our partner is probably going to have a different philosophy and understanding and different truths about money than we do. So our money truths, our money philosophies typically come from our upbringing and the things that we've experienced, the traumas that we've experienced, the spending habits that we've experienced, the poverty we've experienced, the wealth we've experienced. And so we come up with these ways or philosophies again about money that we think are perfect or right because it's what we grew up in, even if it is dysfunctional. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to come to the conversation knowing that your partner is probably going to have a different philosophy, a different truth, a different understanding about money. But that truth, that philosophy is designed to help make you better or balanced, just like your truth, your philosophies are designed to help make them better or balanced. So I think once we come understanding that they're going to see something different, they're going to think different, they're probably going to want something different, they're probably going to have different spending, then it's kind of like, okay, I can put my gun up because I know that this is different, but this is supposed to make me better. So let me approach it from that perspective. And if both people can approach it from that perspective, then it becomes about how do we win as a
Mhm.
team in the area of finance and relationship, as opposed to how do I get what I want in the area of finance as a team.
That is awesome. That I totally agree. So coming to the table and when they have that discussion, what do you recommend? Because if we're coming from different backgrounds, you may have some women or some men, they have what they call, I've heard play accounts or play money,
Mhm.
if you will.
Mhm.
What does that look like? So for instance, we come together, we're looking at our budget.
Mhm.
What do you advise in terms of joint budgets, separate budgets, that play money budget? How would you walk couples through that in your experience?
The first thing I do before we even get to that is I tell couples to tell each other their story. Tell each other, how you come to this thing. Because for some people, talking about the separate account, the play account, that is a product of some trauma that they experienced, and so I might not. And then for some people, it's more of a control issue. And so it's like, and those could be the same. My trauma could cause me to want to be in control, but it's understand. So if I understand that, then I understand that this is not something like you're not hiding from me. You're hiding from the trauma that you experienced. And I can process that a little different than I can if it's you're trying to hide money from me because you think our relationship is, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever thing that you've come up with in your mind is the reason to do it. So, so I tell the story. So we have at least an understanding. So as we move into the conversation about budgeting, we at least know where the other person is coming from. So then I tell them it's one budget. As we one team, one budget. However, how we do the budget, how we carry out the budget can look different. So whatever, you have to figure out what's comfortable for you. Is it, in some cases it's a bill. We have one account for bills, and then we have, each of us have our own separate account, and that separate account is the play account for each person. We have, one savings account, one bill account. We all do our play accounts. There's one account for everything, and then we just, anything that's spent over a certain dollar amount, we talk to each other. So you just have to figure out at that point what works for the season that you're in and the strengths and weaknesses that you have. And what I mean by that is there are some people who don't need to have a debit card. You just need to have cash, because that debit card, like Jeremiah said, it's like fire burning in your bones. That debit card is like fire burning in your pocket, and you can't help but to swipe it. So some people don't need a card, and they just need cash. They need, $100 a week. And once done with that, that's it. So you have to figure that out based upon what's best for your long-term goal, long-term and medium, short-term goals, what's for your strengths and for your weaknesses. And then you have to figure out who's good at what. Which person is good at paying the bills on time, who's good at saving, who's the better person at, whatever, investing. So you have to figure that out and then determine what system works best for your relationship. And I think when we take it out of the emotional state of, this is my money, this is this, it's like, no, this is ours. We have a long-term goal, and our long-term goal is to retire, in 25 years with X amount of money in our account. So we can retire like this. We can travel, we can do this, we can do that. And so all of our decisions are being based on us getting to that goal. And let's figure it out from there.
Can you speak to, so dealing with wives, and I'm gonna give you some questions that wives ask me to ask you. So dealing with wives and with money, personally, my husband and I, is like you said, is one account. I have a separate account for the business. And when I talk to wives, that trauma comes up. Now we're talking about married women. So you're married now, and you still have a separate account from your husband. And for a lot of them, it has to do with, they have been single for so long, independent for so long. It's like, no, this is my money and that's his money. And so what I say is, I don't tell people what they need to do with their money, but I will say, at least put each other as your POD on your account. And that POD is paid on death. And what people don't understand is the bank doesn't recognize marriages. The bank recognizes whose name is on the account. So at least at minimum, do that. But can you speak to the questions I get from wives are separate accounts because they have their own business, child support. They feel like I have a couple of wives whose husband gambles the money away. So it's a lot of trust issues there.
Yeah,
And they've been married for some years. So I'm not even talking newlyweds. I'm talking,
absolutely. Absolutely.
5-8 years. And it's like, hey, this is how we roll. So could you speak to, even if they never come together, can you speak to that and then speak more about that benefits, the importance of protecting yourself?
Yeah. So in those, you named some very extreme cases. In those, first of all, my thing is this: unless there is an extreme reason, I think that couples should know. Like, you should know that I have, like, hey, I'm not putting all the money in because you're gambling, and I need to make sure our bills get paid. I think as a wife or husband, whoever, that's fair. That's right. That's honorable. I think it becomes problematic again, unless it's an extreme situation, when we're hiding it. And
Okay.
again, there are some situations where you need to hide it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that, I want to question it. So what I'm really saying is I want to question the motive. My question is, why are we doing this? Is it an issue of I'm protecting us? Or is this an issue of, again,
Control.
this is my money, I'm not going, so it's, again, and some control issues are fine, because in the extreme example that you gave of a gambler, of an alcoholic,
Yeah.
of something like that, then a system in place that says I need to keep him away from this money because it's going to negatively affect our family. I understand that, respect the honor, and think that that's a good thing to do. So I would say, again, investigate your motive. And if your motive, and they should know, because in some instances I've seen where telling the other person this is a part of what helps them realize just how bad they are. So, again, I say this with the caveat also of be safe and be wise, because your partner. And so
Yeah.
if it's a situation where, there's domestic violence, or something like that, or you're afraid that telling them that's going to cause that type of situation, then make sure you're in a safe place where that can't happen before you have that conversation. So, yeah, I'm more so looking at the motive. I'm more so saying that we really want to do our best to make sure that we are, trying to be a unit, one plan, one vision, as a family. But again, there are definitely situations where you have to protect yourself.
Okay. No, thank you for that. Cause I do have some wives that are going through that more extreme
Yes.
type. So in terms of so getting back to, wives that aren't in that situation. So some wives do stash. So it has nothing to do with the extremes that we just spoke about,
Mhm.
but they stash money because in our community, we were taught by mama, grandmama, auntie,
Have a stash.
always have a stash
Absolutely.
because anything can happen. I know
Absolutely.
I was taught that as well.
Mhm.
I think we need to unlearn that because I mean, I can see that in extreme cases, but how is that healthy in a marriage if you keep in a stash? That's hiding. That is
Well,
stashing is hiding when no
here's my
one
thing.
knows about it.
Yeah, here's my thing. I don't have a problem with you having a stash. Just don't hide it. Like, why does your partner not? I have an account that you don't have access to, that I do what I want to do. And if that is stashing money for, in the case something happens, if that's for, it's just, it's the hiding part of it. Again, that
Yeah.
I think is the problematic issue. I don't have a problem. Or if we are hiding money that we need to help keep our house afloat. So I've had experiences with people where they're like the bill, they're short X amount a month on paying bills. They're stashing money and not telling their partner that they have this money. And I'm like, wait a minute, but you
That's
all aren't hitting your budget and you're trying to figure out how you're going to do this, and you're not telling her or him that you have this money available. And they're like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm like, okay, so you're okay with your house going into foreclosure? So it's those types of things that I think can be problematic. And again, we have to figure out why a person is doing that. Is there a trust issue? Has there something happened in that person's past that that's caused them to think that that's appropriate? So I'd have to investigate more and then really kind of get to the root of that reason. But it's I don't have a problem with them in general. I just have a problem with them being something that we're hiding.
well, the way I was raised, stashing is hiding. So that's pretty much
Yeah. And so I'm saying, yes,
yeah,
I agree. Like it's called, like we don't know about it. I'm
about it.
saying don't hide it, but you
Right.
should have rainy day money. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Rainy day money, and you and your spouse both know about it. That's not stashing. It's like that's totally different to me because we both know that we're putting money up. But to hide money that in case and waiting for the left shoe to fall and nothing, you're not being beat, you're not in no extreme circumstance. You just doing it because mom and them and grandmama and them taught you to do that. You love your husband and all of that, but you're still having money and he doesn't know. That's deceitful. That's being deceitful. And that's the part I was talking about in terms of unlearning. So yeah. You had a post. Oh gosh, forgive me. You had a post that talked about, I believe it was like emotions, like in a relationship when the money isn't right, how our emotions is affected by money. Can you speak to that? Do you remember the post?
No,
Um,
I don't. But I
oh,
will say it's very difficult to have emotional stability when there is financial chaos.
okay, speak to that. Speak to that because it was
So
real.
yeah, so we know, I mean, that the majority of divorces happen because of financial issues. Uh, and I believe the last time I looked, 60% of couples said that they were worried about finances in their marriage. And of that 60%, over half of them said that they can't even have a conversation about money with their spouse without it turning into an argument. And
Whoa.
so this is a huge issue. And so we're, when we get into marriage, a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, which we all desire too, we're coming into it with this expectation of trust, of teamwork, of all of those things. But when there's a financial violation, or when money's not right, or when my financial expectation is not being met, or when we're just not on the same page, it's
Mhm.
it's very hard to remain healthy. And even people who have high levels of emotional intelligence, after a while, it just wears you down. Year after year, week after week of being overdrawn, of not knowing, how we're going to make it, puts us into this, puts us into an emotional place where eventually we just get tired. And so I think it's very difficult to do that. And then we're expecting there to be, so we have this already instability or chaos happening in finance, which is hurting our it's tearing us up on the inside, and our mental's not right, and all that stuff. And then you want me to bring my body to you and try to relax and have
Mhm. Some
intimacy
loving.
with you. And it's like, I can't do that because my money isn't right. And so that's men and women. As men, we a part of our ego is how well we financially provide. So if we're not financially providing, for a lot of men, that affects our ability to perform in the bedroom. For women, same thing. If my money ain't right, I don't feel safe, I don't feel like I'm providing, taking care of my home well. How can I now relax into this moment of intimacy if our finances aren't right? And I can't even talk to you about it. So
Yeah.
you want me to give you my body, but I
Mhm.
can't even trust you with my money.
Whoa. Okay. Wait, I need to stop you. you said something that, and because I'm a woman, I never thought of it this way. I definitely get women, equating that like, loving no finance, we having financial issues. I did not know men actually thought like that as well. I thought for you guys, like it was compartmentalized. Like that's yeah, okay, the money, but I still want some loving.
I mean, we
Really?
still might
You guys
want
can
it.
go through that too?
Yeah, we still want it. Don't get, but I'm saying it's
Okay.
difficult. It's difficult to do it because so you'll typically find two extremes when
Okay.
we are. You'll either find somebody who is a men are hyper aggressive because we're trying to prove our masculinity in the bedroom when we can't prove it in the boardroom, or
Mm,
you'll find us where it's very difficult to do it because now emotionally I don't feel like I'm enough. And so that I'm not feeling like I'm enough transfers into the bedroom. And now in my mind, I have thought she don't really want me, or how can she want me when I can't even pay this bill? Or how could, I mean, how does she, this isn't happening? Or if you do something that even hints at you're not being, you're not enjoying this. It's like, see, it's because I bet you if I was making a whole lot of money, she would be more, like, so we go through these same things as well. So it's usually going to be one of those two extremes for us.
wow. I learned something new. Thank you for that. That's why I like talking to men, because men know how men think. Let's see. I want to ask one other question that just came to me that you posted: financial infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
I never seen that or heard that term before, and I was intrigued. I was like, "Oh, financial infidelity." Can
Absolutely.
you speak to that or those steps? Tell us
Sure.
what that is.
So financial infidelity is, so if we've come together and decided that we're going to do these things with our money, and we say, for example, I'm gonna give you a personal example. So right now I am in the midst of 1 year of not buying clothes. Y'all pray for me. Y'all pray for y'all pray my strength in the
That's
Lord.
good. Who's
Yeah,
buying clothes in the pandemic anyway? And we're working remotely, right? I haven't bought
I
new
have,
clothes in a
I
year.
have, I have. We have a problem, so I recognize.
Okay.
But if this is our agreement that I'm not going to do that, and I sneak off
Mm,
and buy something, I have committed financial infidelity because I've agreed to do something. And just like, we've agreed that we're in a relationship where it's just you and I, we're in a
mm.
monogamous relationship where it's just the two of us. And now I have gone outside of the boundaries that we have placed and in our relationship. So I have committed financial infidelity. So that's what it is.
Whew.
Yeah.
Ooh. I think our listeners gonna be like, well, I think I've committed financial infidelity more than once, more than twice, several times.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna. I was gonna say, if you don't have a vision, then maybe not. But I mean, yes, we probably have. All of us probably have. But I think we have to, if we think of it just as serious as we think of, sexual infidelity, emotional infidelity, then our financial decisions would be that much more. Probably be that much. We'd be that much more careful because we recognize again. This is my partner. Like this is somebody who we have committed to doing life, all parts of life together. And if I want them to be trustworthy, then I have to be trustworthy as well.
Yes. No, yeah, that's good. That's good, Winfred. That's good. That's good. So as we wrap up, what um what pointers or top three that you're always talking to couples about, or individuals when it comes to money relationships? Like, do you have like a top three that you're consistent when you're talking
Mhm.
to your
Yeah.
partner?
I mean, I think it always starts with communicate clearly, like be on the same page, like with one vision, it's one team, communicate often, and then the last thing I would say is if seasons do change. And so be prepared when the seasons change, be prepared to communicate through the change in the season. So, from a financial standpoint, that could look like in this season, we have separate accounts. In the next season, we might have one account. In the season after that, we might have 4 accounts. Like being able to communicate what's best, because it's not what's best for you. It's not what's best for him. It's what's best for us to reach the end goal of our relationship. There's a destination, a destiny that we're trying to get to. And so if we communicate regularly, if we communicate often and clearly, if we communicate through those seasons, then we can get to that destination.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Your book, going back to your book, can you tell us where we can find your book and how people can reach out to you?
Absolutely. So you can go really to the easiest way to do it. Go to my Instagram page, click on the link in the Instagram page. It's at Winfred Burns II, WINFRED, Winfred Burns II, and you can get it there. You can get not only can you get my book, you can set up if you want to have a one-on-one call where I could do individual coaching. You can do that. Or you can go to, for my digital products, again, same place, go to the link, or go to gumroad.com/Winfred Burns II. So that's the best way to get in touch with me. And yeah, if anybody has questions, comments, or just email me or get in touch with me.
Yes, and don't forget, guys, you can also drop your comments down below, and Winfred will definitely reach out to you and respond back to those comments as well. So this has been awesome. Finance Friday, we do this every week, and I just want to thank our hosts. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to have you here. We've learned a lot. I know I learned a couple of more things that I thought, because money and relationships, just money, period, is so broad, and we can always continue to keep learning. We will have Winfred back, you guys, talking on various different conversations and topics about money as well. And with that, thank you guys. I appreciate you, and we will catch you next time on Finance Friday. Bye-bye. Thank you.